Don't look yet. The Chicago Bulls have started off the preseason 2-0 with 2 wins against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Who stood out? What is the pace that the Chicago Bulls are on? We're talking about it all and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. My name is Haize. I'm host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you guys by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. What's going on, y'all, man? It's been a fun 2 games of preseason for the Chicago Bulls. And I don't want to state it or anything like that, but this has been 2 really fun games for the Chicago Bulls. Some slow starts, right? And I think that's the first thing that we need to talk about is that the Bulls definitely got out to a slow start today. And that was with their starters out there. That's something that we've seen plague the Bulls before. I'm sure it's something that they want to get together as well. You got to get over those slow starts. Now, in this game, for those that don't know, the Bulls were without starters from last game in Kevin Huerter and Nikola Vucevic. Julian Phillips also missed time in this game. So we ran a starting lineup of Josh Giddey, Trey Jones, Isaac Okoro, Matas Buzelis, and Zach Collins. That was our starting 5 today. And that starting 5 group just didn't bring the energy that you want. Now, for what it's worth, last week, the starters kind of didn't bring the energy initially. Now, I do think they were quicker to turn it around and to find their energy in this game than what they were last game. And part of the reason for that was Trey Jones. Trey Jones was just, he was a guy out there that just moved so intentionally. When the Bulls had some problems of cutting to the rim or finding the cutters, things like that, Trey Jones really excelled at that. He rebounded the ball really well today. Also, Trey Jones just continues to make a really good impact for the Chicago Bulls team. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in the second segment, but just want to start off talking a little bit about Trey Jones because the way that he's been playing for this Bulls team has been excellent, right? But in this game, with, of course, Kobe White being out and missing Kevin Huerter, Billy Donovan announced before the game that Josh Giddey was going to play more minutes, and I was hoping to see a more aggressive Josh Giddey. Now, we got to see a little bit of that. He was 5 of 13 from the field today for 14 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists in this game, and that's always going to be an important factor for Josh Giddey. I do think that Josh was a little bit more timid than what I would like to see him at times in this game. And, I don't know if that's just preseason things or what it is there. I'm sure it'll end up working itself out at some point sooner rather than later. I think Josh Giddey will be fine. He is preseason, so take that for what you will. But as the game went on, you did see more aggressive Josh Giddey. He had a buzzer beater at the end of the first quarter, a buzzer beater 3, which is something that we've seen from Josh Giddey before. But we did start seeing him attack the rim, use his floaters, more things like that. We saw him get into the post when he had a smaller player on him. So there's more of those things, and I think that's positive for Josh Giddey overall. I think we need to just get that a little bit more consistently. The Bulls do have 3 more preseason games, so we got plenty of time to see that before the regular season, and we'll just see how that shakes out overall, right? But Josh Giddey, better performance from him today than in the first game. Still assisted really well, still rebounded really well, but 14 points. And instead of going 1 for 4 from the field, he took 13 shots and went 5 of 13 from the field. Zach Collins has hit himself a really good game again today. We saw Zach Collins in the regular season last year after we acquired him. He had to step in almost immediately in for injured Nikola Vucevic, and he played well in that stretch as well. And Zach Collins today, just confidence that he played with. That was the thing that really stood out the most about Zach Collins' game, is that he just played with a lot of confidence as far as taking his shots, as far as getting in the paint, putting bodies on people. He had 13 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal in this game for Zach Collins. And the big man rotation of the Chicago Bulls is going to be something that you really watch this year because, Jalen Smith as well, much better shooting night tonight from him, 3 of 6 from the field for 50%. He was 0 of 2 from the 3-point range, but he had 8 points and 7 rebounds with 4 assists. We know how Vooch can play, right? So if you're talking about you got Jalen, you got Vooch, you got Zach Collins, that's a potential to have a really nice big man rotation for the Chicago Bulls. Now, we saw a little bit more of a double big rotation. We saw some of Zach Collins and Jalen Smith out there together, which is good. That means that Billy Donovan is following up on his word of using more or being open to use a more double big lineup. We just got to see if that's going to happen in the regular season. But, it's been good. Jerry says, been lit. Yukio, I cooked, man. That's funny. That's funny. I was there tonight. It was a fun game. Definitely a fun game. Who's that from? That was from Frost. And then Shay says, the one thing that annoys me a lot, we get a lot of steals on the defensive end, but we don't turn them into points because we try to shoot the three on the fast break. Listen, Shay, I'm going to tell you this, bro. I 100% agree with you. The Bulls shooting the three on the fast break instead of attacking the rim is going to be something that I know is going to frustrate the hell out of me as the season goes on. Now, hopefully this is just a preseason thing, that they're much better about it. Once we get into the regular season, I do think they got better on it as the game went on today, as far as attacking the rim a little bit more. They did take over 43 pointers today. We took 42 3-pointers today. We went 14 of 42 for only 33%. I think if you eliminate some of the fast break threes that we ended up missing and you change those to buckets at the rim, I think you're going to get to the free throw line more. I think the Bulls free throw attempts, which we did have 32 free throw attempts today, I think that could get up more towards 40 if we try to do those things. And then your 3-point percentage also looks a little bit better, right? So that's something that I just hope that we see a little bit more of. I'm not overly faithful for that, only because that's kind of the thing that we're seeing in the NBA right now, is that a lot of teams do not attack attack the rim in transition like they used to. Like, it's almost a systematic NBA thing at this point. And it's unfortunate because I think you give up so many easy buckets. I think in the hunt of the three and the fear of teams losing the math battle, we forgot that, like, just those easy buckets are easy for a reason. Not only can they put pressure on the defense as far as the free throw line, but they're just easy shots to help you get in rhythm. And, that's some things that the Bulls miss. And then they have to find their rhythm through 3-point shooting, which they eventually did today and found their rhythm offensively. But I just think they put themselves a little bit behind the 8 ball with missing that. So great call out on that, Shay. Manas Buzelis did not follow up his, big performance in game one. He had 11 points today, 3 of 7 from the field, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. So he still gave production, and that's a good thing, right? About Manas isn't the type of player, not to necessarily crap on him, but he's not P. Will, meaning that, he's not going to completely disappear from a game. You're always going to notice Manas on the court. He's always going to do something to garner either attention from the defense or attention from his block shots or something like that, which is good. But, it's preseason, so I'm not going to get too far up, too far down on it. I just think that it's something to look out for as the season goes on. We did get to see him do more on-ball things. Again, today, I think he did a little bit more. Didn't really get any assists. He was 0 assists on the day, but we saw opportunities of him taking players off the dribble. And I think that's important for the growth of Manas Buzelis as well, to continue to have those opportunities. Billy Donovan keeps giving him those, and hopefully he keeps responding pretty well. 11 points today isn't terrible, so I don't want to act like Manas had a terrible night, because he didn't. It's just that he didn't really follow up his last performance in the way that a lot of people were hoping to see. But I think Manas is going to be fine. I have no worries about Manas Buzelis. I already talked about Trey Jones. We'll talk a little bit about him more in the bench unit overall in the next segment. But Isaac Okoro today, only 6 points. He was 3 of 11 from the field, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. And this is why you have to watch the game. It's not always about what you see on the stat sheet, because while he didn't shoot the ball well at all, Isaac's fingerprints were all over this game. He played some solid defense yet again. He was really locked in. He attacked the rim, didn't convert really on a lot of those, but he was one of those players, as well as the Bulls were trying to get out that slow start, find the rhythm, start attacking the rim more. He did a little bit more of those things as the game went on. So I want to acknowledge Isaac Okoro for that as well. He continues to be, a bright spot for the Bulls. And I do think, I think that Okoro is going to be the starting small forward. I really do think that at this point. I think he's done nothing in being out there that should keep him from it. Now, I'm not saying that Okoro is going to have like a 15-point per game season. He may have a pedestrian stat sheet season, but I think Okoro's benefit to this team is deeper than whatever stats he puts up. I think you have to look at it similar to, just when you have a defensive stalwart in your team, and that's what Isaac really brings to this team. But if the way that he attacked the rim, the way that he got in transition was any sign of things, there may be a little bit more offense as well coming from Isaac than we necessarily expected coming into the season. So we'll see how that goes as well. But with that said, that's going to get us into our first segment where we are going to talk about Trey Jones in the next segment. I want to go far into what Trey Jones provided for the Bulls today, because I think it's important. I think it's a big reason why we should feel confident about the Bulls bench. But first, before we do that, we got to get to a message from FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel that's not the right, yeah, there we go. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so much ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines throughout the game. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love dining into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, guys. So I do want to talk about Trey Jones. I want to talk about Trey. Trey had himself a really, really good game today. And while the stat sheet doesn't jump at you crazy or anything like that, I think the stat sheet looks perfectly fine for Trey. I don't think it really gives you the full impact of what Trey Jones brought to this team today. He was not only somebody that helped change the pace and the tide of the game as far as the momentum part of it, he was also somebody that just didn't back down. He gave effort on the defensive side of the ball. Let's read the stat line for you for Trey Jones. 10 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, only 1 turnover. Like, he was the only starter with a positive plus minus today. You know what it was? In this comparison, you had to watch this game to understand this comparison. Trey Jones impacted the game today in similar ways that Lonzo Ball did when he was healthy for the Chicago Bulls, if that makes sense. Just doing a little bit of everything. Did he shut anybody down like Lonzo does? No, he didn't do that. So I'm not going to say he did that, but he was enough of an annoyance for the other team defensively that he was able to impact the game defensively much more than his stature would have you believe that he's able to do. And that's what I love about Trey Jones. AJ Skid says that's why the Kings were dominating the playoff runs. Only team scoring under the basket on fast breaks. Nobody could stop them. That's actually a really good point. But Trey's impact that he's bringing for this team is part of the reason why I feel so confident about the bench with this team. I will talk about the bench so much. I really do think the Chicago Bulls could have a one of the better benches in the league. I really think that. Now, that may sound crazy. It may sound ridiculous, but I really believe that. You look at Io and him, and Io's in a spot right now as well where he's playing amazingly well. Io's in a really great rhythm right now. Dosunmu had 16 points, going 6 of 14 from the field with 4 rebounds, 1 assist in this game. Io was another guy that just put pressure on the opposing defense so much and so consistently today that it was hard to ignore, right? And so Zach Collins, another guy that I talked about as a starter that had a big game. But Trey's ability to run an offense, to, despite being one of the smallest players on the court, come away with rebounds, and just that pit bull mentality that Trey Jones has adopted since he's been a member of the Chicago Bulls. I tell you what, I'm not going to count out Trey Jones. Trey Jones I'm so glad that they brought him back to this team. You know, when it was quiet there for a little minute, before we traded Lonzo, we weren't sure what the future was going to hold for Trey Jones. But I tell you what, for whatever it's worth, Trey Jones right now, at least through preseason, and that's all we have to base it off of, but he is going to be such a momentum changer for the Chicago Bulls, because what Trey does is that he comes into the game and he just makes the right plays on offense, on defense. Yeah, there are going to be some times where his size and his stature keep him from having a huge impact defensively. That's going to happen sometimes. I'm not going to act like it's not. It will happen sometimes. but the combination of his passing, his court vision today. There are times where Trey Jones made passes today on a cutter or on a player that after drawing in the defense. This was things that I was screaming at the screen for the Bulls to do a little bit more consistently. And Trey Jones just comes in and he just makes the right decisions. You put that out there with Io. You put that out there with Zach Collins. You put that out there with Kevin Huerter, who can come off screens. I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying that they're going to have a bench mob. I'm not saying that at all. That's a moniker that has to be earned by the way that you play game in and game out. But I am saying this. This is a team that I would not want to bet against. Just period. I would not want to bet against this bench unit. And Trey and Io and Zach Collins and hopefully Kevin Huerter, who didn't shoot the ball the best in his first game. He missed this game. Those four guys, that's your 9-man rotation with your starters. If those four guys play consistently, they play connectively, and because you can match up, you look at it. Trey Jones can play with Kobe. He can play with Giddey. He proved that today, right? Dosunmu can play with Kobe. He can play with Giddey. He can play with Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter can play with Giddey. He can play with Kobe. Like, you're just balancing all that out and giving the different looks that you can get out there. That can be an advantage to you. Now, Billy Donovan has to coach to that, and Billy Donovan has to continue using players to their strengths, which hasn't always been something that Billy Donovan has done. There's been a lot of times where Billy Donovan hasn't necessarily used players to the things that they're best at or strong at. See Zach LaVine and the number of catch and shoot opportunities he had under Billy Donovan. And then look what he had under Sacramento, which I think he led the league after going to Sacramento in catch and shoots. So Billy hasn't always done that, but that also goes into it. This I said it coming into this season. The way that Billy Donovan was talking, it felt like he had a different level of focus. And I'm here to say that I think it's legitimate. I think it's legit. Now, we got to see it in the regular season before we can say that for sure. But it seems like that is legitimate. It seems like Billy Donovan, whatever it is, whether it's the youth on this roster, whether it's not having any very ball-dominant scorers like Zach or DeMar DeRozan, whether it's just him being reinvigorated by the new direction of the team and the play style and all that, Billy Donovan, Wes Unseld, Dan Craig, John Bryant, these guys are coaching pretty damn well so far in preseason. Now, in the regular season, if Billy Donovan gets back to getting out coached every 3 games, then that is what it is. Then we'll take that away. But as it stands right now, not only is the physicality legit, not only is the added emphasis on defense legit, not only is the offensive play style that we had last year still legit and still how we're playing, this coaching staff seems to have these guys ready for their role, ready to step up, and just ready to perform. And so if that continues for this team, things are going to look really, really freaking good for the Bulls this season. So we'll see. But Trey in the fast break has been immaculate so far this season. And we're going to have to see how that continues to develop for this team, of course. We're going to have to see how it goes. But there's been some really good signs in preseason so far. And I just hope these vibes, I hope they don't do the Chicago Bears, where you have really good vibes in preseason, and then when the regular season starts, you're just looking like, well, there goes that. It was good while it lasted, right? And it's up to this team to coach to that. It's up to this team to live up to that performance and understand that that's a standard now that you're trying to set. Can they do it? We shall see. We shall see. Other little tidbits from this game, Noah Essengay, even with Julian Phillips being out and Kevin Huerter being out, we didn't see a lot more of Noah Essengay. He didn't get in the game too much earlier than he did before. He did play 17 minutes. He got to the free throw line 4 times again in those 17 minutes, which is really good. He had a plus-minus of +9, and he gave some effort on both sides of the ball. With Noah Essengay, after the second practice, said that Billy Donovan just asked him to bring energy on both sides of the ball and play defense. He's been doing that. I don't know what that means for once the regular season starts as far as G League assignments or anything like that. But it does seem like, that Billy Donovan is not getting Noah out there earlier. So, but P. Will did get out there earlier. P. Will did play 21 minutes today, and it was more like a normal P. Will stat line. He went 3 of 8 from the field for 8 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, no blocks in this game. So That was P. Will's night. He didn't really kind of follow up his really good performance with a big one, considering I think he was the 7th player to check into the game. So the 2nd player coming off the bench, I believe, is what P. Will was today. And it just didn't work out. And I think that goes back to where me and Pat had a disagreement on. I think P. Will is going to be, that back end of the bench role player. And I think that because of that, the level of competition that he's going to face isn't going to be starters. He was out there with some starters today. And, we'll see. It's one game. Again, not too far up, not too far down. We'll see where it ends up shaking out. But as it stands right now, P. Will didn't follow that last game up with the performance that I would have liked to see from him. But, we'll see what comes of that. With that said, though, we do got to get into a message from a few of our sponsors. And the first one is going to be PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is so much fun. Simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute. My favorite part, PrizePicks just added stacks. So if you want to ride with a player, you can select their pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. And the new inquiry reboot feature, if your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. Download the PrizePick app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. I also got to get to you guys into a message from another one of our sponsors, and that is Quo. One of the tools that help make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly OpenPhone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through the app on your phone or computer. So no more carrying 2 phones or relying on a landline. I love how Quo, formerly known as Open Phones, lets your team share one number and collaborate on calls and texts like a shared inbox, so no customer gets left hanging. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you got an existing number with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed codes, no missed customers. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Bulls fans, before we get up out of here for today, one last topic that we do have to talk about, and that is an update on Coby White. So before the game, Billy Donovan gave an update, and he did say that the expectation right now is for Coby White to play in the final preseason game. That there is hope for that. Now, there was apparently some talk earlier on. Shout out to Vern who let us know this. That there was a talk on a podcast that Coby could miss some of the start of the regular season. I have not seen any of that from any official Bulls sources. All I've seen is the quote that we talked about from Billy Donovan saying that that Coby White is expected to play in the last preseason game. That's the goal. That's the target for right now. So that's what I'm going to believe until otherwise noted. Now, if this does extend and Coby White does get to the place of starting to miss some time in the regular season, I'm a little bit concerned about that, because I think when you look at the Bulls' slow start, when you look at the turnovers, when you look at that, they can use another on-ball player. They can use Coby White in his creation and all that type of stuff. So missing that from Coby is a little bit concerning, and I want to be clear there. But like I said, I'm not going to worry about it right now until we get closer and closer to the regular season. If Coby is ready to go at the start of the regular season after missing the preseason, I still think things are going to be fine for Coby, right? Coby's going to be the #1 scorer. He's going to be that option for the Bulls. So I think all those things can play off pretty well for the Bulls. But for right now, Coby White has missed some time. And looks like he's gonna miss all the preseason games, and they're gonna try to get him in for some reps in that last preseason game. And I personally can't be mad at that. I think you want to be protective over it. Billy Donovan's already said they're being really, really cautious with the injury to Coby White, because calf injuries can turn into something else. And the medical staff is just trying to avoid that. And I can't be mad at them trying to protect the player, especially for all the years that we talked about them missing on protecting players, right? So if they do that consistently, they'll be fine. So that's just what it is. Wanted to bring that update before we close out the show. That's my time for today. Make sure you guys are following us at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me at CEO Haize. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, Fubo TV, basically anywhere you want us, you can get it. We'll catch you guys Sunday after the game. Love you guys. Go Bulls. Peace, y'all.